Today's walk will be at the Landsdown Trail. It's about 1.5 miles, quarry dust path similar to that of the Columbia Trail. Starts in the middle of Clinton, goes to Lower Landsdown Road. In Clinton proper, it starts over by Fox Lumber. There's limited parking in Clinton as well as the Landsdown Trail, so you do need to be careful about where you find a place to park. We do only really own the pathway, so the properties on most sides of the trail are privately owned, but you can still enjoy the wildlife from the trail base. We'll take a walk down and try to show you some features and see what else we can find. Okay, along the initial lengths of the trail from Clinton, you will find a couple different vines growing on the fences and all. They do include the poison ivy, but also Virginia creeper. But this is another one that's been showing up, and this is an invasive species from Europe, but it's called English ivy. This is the ivy that people see like on the old stone houses or other old structures that give it the antique characteristics, the historic characteristics that some of the stone houses go for. But if not controlled at the garden edge, it will spread and invade into the wild. Being in town proper, it's where the roots of this vine probably started, but has now sort of hit the edge of the trail. But again, this is English ivy and can be semi-aggressive around urban sprawl. Okay, what I'm showing you here is how important that trees and other plant material are in regards to holding stream banks together. You can see how the root structure of this tree is all turned back and growing into the stream bank, holding it together, trying to fight off the erosion effect of the stream as it comes in and makes this turn to continue on downstream and to flow eventually into the river. But it is this tree that is holding the soil bank together, fighting against the forces of the water and to preserve the soil material for all the plant and vegetation to grow. The hackberry tree can be recognized by this corky-like bark appearance that appears on the bark. Some might consider it to be a sign of a blight, but it's actually a healthy tree. It starts out by appearing as warts and then grows to the corky bark. The leaves are about 4.5 inches in length, dark green with a very strong serrated edge to them. Somewhere along the trail, I cannot actually say where, we can actually find the largest hackberry tree in the state of New Jersey. Okay, showing you another plant in reproduction method, making its flowers in the end of summer. Unfortunately, this is a very aggressive plant. It does have a bamboo-like stalk and it grows along wet locations. This was covered in the Melix Bridge videos as part of the South Branch, the central one, I believe. But again, the area behind where this plant is growing is the Clinton treatment plant, and this is Japanese knotweed. A very aggressive grower that's been invading down from the South Branch, because we're actually a little bit north of Melix Bridge today. And again, at this point, is growing unchecked and has penetrated from the river over to the trail. I know this may not look like much in the sense that it just looks like a tangle of leaves and branches, but it is a characteristic of the tree. It took me a while to actually find one close enough that I could actually talk about, but the leaves are very lance shaped, very narrow but long. People probably have a cousin of this tree if they have a stream or a pond on the property as an ornamental, but this is black willow. This is our native willow tree, and as you've been might have been paying attention, the Landsdown Trail is close to water, so water obligate species are relatively close and along the Landsdown Trail, because another popular one along the trail has been the red maple, American basswood, which have been covered in other videos. But again, black willow, when young like this guy, is actually very twiggy. Because it produces so many leaves and they're all very narrow, it does look sort of like a chaotic mess in its overall spread of leaves. But again, there's really no other tree that's going to have leaves so thin or as the black willow. Okay, this tree here is a hickory. It's actually not probably either of the two that you're thinking of, because it's not a shagbark and it's not pignut. When you look at the leaflet or the leaves, it is actually a leaflet of 9. I'll actually break one off, and as you can see, as I pull the leaf through the image, there are 9 leaflets to it. And the hickory with 9 leaflets is actually the mockernut hickory. Hickories have been somewhat common along the trail. The ones I've paid attention to have actually been the 2 commons, the shagbark and the pignut. But this is actually a different one, and again, mockernut is the one that has the most leaflets per the compound leaf, ranging up to 9. So again, one could actually walk this trail and find all 5 or all 3 of the hickory trees that do make their presence known through Hunterdon County. Okay, again, the Landsdown Trail, as I mentioned, does go through very wet area. This is one that I'm finally able to show off to you. And the reason why I'm pointing it out is, even though many of these sites cannot be seen, if you do auditory calls, the Landsdown Trail through the springtime, early summer can be a fun walk because of all the various amphibians, the frogs and toads that call along the trail can be heard. When you do get pockets like this, again, it opens up the other door, because again, some avian life also holds to these little wet spots. I've actually seen heron and wood duck in these little pools. And then, of course, if you do get a muddy area, you might find some interesting mammalian tracks as well. So by being in a wet area and secluded from some of the urbanized locations, these pockets can show or give a exposure to some of the rich wildlife of the region. About 1 3/4 miles from Clinton, or about 1/4 mile from Lower Landsdown Road, you will find the large bridge crossing for the Capoolong Creek. The Capoolong Creek stretches from Pittstown all the way to this point, where it finally connects to the south branch of the Raritan River. If one continues out Landsdown Trail at Lower Landsdown Road and continues over to the intersection of Sydney School and Landsdown Road, one can find the trailhead for the Capoolong Creek Wildlife Management Area Trail and continue on for about another 7-8 miles in the direction of Pittstown to add to your hiking enjoyment. Due to county work on the trail today, I am unable to get to the end of the Landsdown Trail on Landsdown Road, but it's not far from the intersection of Landsdown Road and Hamden Road near the state pumping station for Round Valley. There is limited parking there, so please use caution if you go to that end to access the trail.